So we're going to move now to CLaudia. CLaudia's from Austria. She's radical feminist, lesbian activist in the autonomous women, lesbian, female Emigrant Girls Centre. She's working in FZ, working in collectives for keeping FZ autonomous for womenstrike as political lesbians in WenDo, Feminist Self-Defense. And so she'll explain what she's going to say, but thank you so much for coming and sharing with us, CLaudia, and over to you.
I, by myself, and also the FZ, which is the Autonomous Women's Lesbians Female Migrant Girls Centre, signed the declaration because we also think that it's not possible to change from one sex to the other. And the FZ is an exclusively female, also a women's space. And that's why, it exists more than 40 years now. It was a squatted house, or it's still like this. And there are a lot of female, a lot of collectives from women, as Joe said, WenDo, Feminist Self-Defense, or womenstrike, and a group of political lesbians, and also a group who is working on solutions to keep the FZ alive, because we have a huge confrontation since, I guess, 2 years approximately with the city of Vienna, because the city of Vienna is the owner of the building and they want to renovate it, but we fear that they also have some neoliberal capitalist ideas, to say it like this, about it. And the part of the building where we are, you just can come in when you ring a bell, and then we see who is out there, and then the women can come in. So it's also a safe space, even though I don't want to use this or use this term too often, because I think it's more and more misused, especially from the queer and trans activist community. Yes, but it's a place for women to organize, to get in contact, to make politics together, and yes, and the women, I would say, who come because it's a space especially for women. And yes, there is another organization in the same building, not in the part where we are, but it's really a huge building. And the city of Vienna has chosen the, if I say so, the more corporate partner to sign a hiring contract between the city and this other organization, which has nothing to do with us. We are just neighbors. So it's like your neighbor goes to the person who is the owner of the house you also have an apartment in, and they make a hiring contract that your apartment is now, your neighbor is allowed to rent your apartment too, in this way, to precise it a little bit more. And what is our we are now, this week, for example, we made a manifestation because of the 25th of November, the International Day of Elimination against the Reforms of Violence against Women. And we said that at the and we made a women-only demonstration after that, and a lot of women came and talked about their organizations, or also about their personal connections to violence. And we are also sad about losing a friend of us this year. She was from Somalia. Her name was Fadumo, and she helped a friend to divorce from their partner or the husband, and to make it short, the partner of the husband of the friend of Fadumo murdered both Shukri, which was the woman who wanted the divorce, and Fadumo also. And this was a big shock for us. And Fadumo also was a big, in Somalia and then in Austria, also a really active fighter against FGM. And we also wanted to move forward in the fight against FGM in Austria, and with the perspective all over the world. Yes, and at the same time, there was another, as on the 25th of November, there was another manifestation also from women, also who don't call themselves women, they call themselves Flinter persons. The F stands for Frau, which is the word, which means women in German, and also women, lesbian, inter, non-binary, trans, and agender. So they don't use the word woman or women anymore, even in cases of femicides. They don't speak about murder against women, they speak about murder against Flinter persons. And we also see that this is a huge, so this is not acceptable in any way to delete women, even in the case when there is a violence against women or women are murdered. And it's also like an elimination when you put the term Flinter over a woman who was murdered. For me, it's another murderer to don't tell that this was a woman. And all the 28 women who have been murdered till now in Austria, which is a really, really high number, because Austria is not a really big country. So we have 28 murdered women and 44 cases of really, like where the women survived, but it was really, really dangerous for their lives. So this is one thing also which goes, I have the feeling more and more in mainstream. First we had women written with an asterisk, which is more or less also common in institutional organizations. So the asterisk means that all women or all persons who define themselves as women are addressed in a way or invited, or I don't know. And Flinter is the new term, I would say, where the word women doesn't even exist anymore. And it's also like, it's not science or not historic to speak about the women's liberation from the 1970s or something like that and put an asterisk at this term. This is not true. There haven't been trans people or some who defined themselves as non-binary or something like that. Or it was not the topic at this time. But when we are talking about intersectionality or inclusive feminism, it's all about just the trans theme, the trans topic, the trans agenda. And there is also in the government, they are talking about the self-ID at the first time in Austria. There was a question brought in June this year by the Social Democratic Party, and a newer party, like it's a neoliberal capitalist one, let me say it so. And the biggest points, also there was the biggest points by now, but I think it's more or less the same in every country, is it's not really detailed what the consequence is for women after this, but they are going to, it's about the legally recognition of the gender, or as Christina said, in German it's the same. There is no, also there is, but yeah, okay. Because we saw, as a gender is, no, okay, sorry. The legal recognition from your self-defining, or the spoken act to go to the I say government to say I'm a woman, for example, and then you can be, or this the goal of this is that you you don't have to bring any certificates, psychological or psychiatric ones or something like that, like in the past, that you go there and say, I'm a woman, I'm a man, I'm non-binary, or I'm intersexual or something like that. Yes, should be enough to be legally recognized at the gender you say. And one last point, what is also mixed in this, or I think it's the danger or the opportunity to mix it, that the demands of intersexual people are mixed or woven with the demands of trans people in cases of operations and all that. So like because they also say the sex or the gender you signed at birth is coming from the intersexual movement also, no? But when you say as a trans person, I was signed as a man when I was born, it means something completely different. Yeah, okay, then we wanted, so I would be very, very happy if you would sign our petition. It just feels good to fight this, to be not alone in this fight.